right, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world, whatever time of day it is. Welcome to Faith and Physiology. This is my calling to represent the power of faith through the masterpiece of physiology. And as I was meditating this morning on what to talk about, I knew that I wanted to talk about metabolism, but I wasn't sure how to lead into it. That's always my thing is this hook point that we all need to have to pull us into being able to pay attention to something. And that's the social media. It's training our brain to be that way. It's training our brain to need a hook. And so I've studied a lot about hook points. And so I was thinking it has to be good enough. I have to have a hook to start them. And really it's if you're here, you're listening. And I get caught up with wanting these videos to be good enough and being absolutely vulnerable. There was a battle within me right there that thought I should start this video over. And I'm trying to be extremely humble, open, and transparent, which is something that I learned from the church that I go to. It's Transformation Church, and they are representing different things as well. And that's actually where I found the word represent. And I really liked that because we're constantly exposed to information, and you've probably been exposed to faith in some way, shape, or form. You've probably been exposed to God in some way, shape, or form. And so you have all these different perspectives, and they're coming at you. And here's the thing, they're all coming at you. And in your life, you're having to make sense of them. And I might get a lot of pushback on this statement, but here's the thing. God kept coming for me every single time. And he came to me in many different ways. So when I was not receptive to the Bible, he came to me in yoga. When I was not receptive to yoga, he came to me in physiology. When I was not receptive to certain things, I had built up my walls, I'd built up my guards, or without even knowing, this power that I'm speaking of kept coming for me. And so I can look at this power, this intelligence from many different perspectives. And that makes it it does make it really hard to teach about it, but I'm just teaching about it in, let's go to this level right here. Let's just look right here, because there's some people that aren't receptive to Bible thumpers, no offense. And really, when I'm saying no offense, I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with that. But some people aren't going to be receptive to that. And then there's other people that I'm speaking about, people not being receptive to the Bible. They're not going to be receptive to that. And what I was finding was I wasn't able to speak because I was worried about what everybody would think. And I was missing the boat that every time I learned something, it was like, oh my gosh, if I just filter it through the lens of God, then it's powerful. If I'm always filtering it through, how can I look at this through God's eyes? And so that's my prayer for you today, is to see more through God's eyes. And as we're humans, we don't fully understand what that is. And I don't think that words can fully comprehend what God is, what that intelligence that teaches a spider how to make a web before it's even born. It just knows how to do that. A baby knows how to suckle, when it knows how to find mom when it comes out, right? When it's born, it knows how to do that. And that intelligence of the trees know how to lose their leaves, or know when to lose their leaves. To me, that is so powerful. And sometimes words can't encompass that. And that's why I like to look at it through the perspective of the human body and how it works, because we were created in its image is what the Bible says. But there's so many, like even in the Yoga Sutras, like the drop in the ocean, we are just an extension of consciousness. And those are all, like, I think we're all saying the same thing, and we get tangled up in the words when really it's something so much bigger than what our human words can put into comprehend. It's like I'm saying, it's our human words cannot describe this sometimes. And as I've been trying to describe certain experiences that I have had in my life. So I'll give you one. There was one time when I was in severe pain. I don't know if you know that part of my history, but I suffered from 7 years of really chronic conditions. And I really couldn't eat a lot. I was really anxious. There was pain that was just all on the left side of my body. And I'd been to a lot of specialists, and I couldn't find an answer. And people would say, it's this. And I was like, okay, so I would try. And it was like, nope, that symptom, it was still there. And I would still try, and I would keep going. And I was like, no, there's an answer for this somewhere. This is just a symptom that my body is trying to tell me. And metabolism, as we're going to speak of, will talk about more about those symptoms. But I had an experience where I was brand new yogi, brand new at doing yoga. And I was in the middle of chiropractic school, so super stressed. And I had a night where I just kind of surrendered. And my yoga wasn't pretty. It wasn't the pretty poses that you've probably seen on my Instagram. It wasn't those. It was weird. It was like my neck needed to stretch, but I just let it happen. It was like I just need to be here. And that happened for about 3 hours, to be honest with you, where it was just like there was something guiding me. And I remember seeing very vividly something, and I just call it the hand of God, just moving my body in a way that I had never done before. I had never received before. And my pain disappeared for the longest that it had ever disappeared. And that moment set me up to receive the chiropractic technique that kind of looks weird to the world, but it allowed me to receive that, like, oh, if I just surrender and let you move through me, there's so much more that can happen. And when I received that chiropractic adjustment, the pain went away forever. And so that is an experience that's hard to put into words. That's an experience that, Jeremiah and Isaiah, and they see things that are kind of unexplainable. And I believe that still happens to us, and that can still happen for us. And we can still communicate with that intelligence of God if we are present enough to receive it, and if we are open enough to receive it. And that's why I think surrendering is so powerful. So with all that being said, as I present through all of the perspectives that I've been blessed to move through and still come out the other side with greater faith, the human body is one that people oftentimes get lost in. And I personally got my faith, I got a little lost in this concept. And so maybe you're not somebody who, or maybe you're somebody who's struggling a little bit with, like, how does this all work? Because I don't understand Jesus. Let me tell you the truth. My walk with Jesus is I'm still trying to understand that. And so maybe you're in that place with me, and you can have faith and keep on that journey and keep talking and walking through all these different parts of a spiritual journey. Maybe if you learn more about the human body, it can keep your faith up in that journey and in that walk. Okay, so without further ado, today I wanted to talk about metabolism. Metabolism, big fun word. People think it has to do with how easily, I put metabolic, metabolism. People think it has to do with losing weight. No, it's not metabolism that I wanted to talk about today. It's homeostasis. Although metabolism does play a part in it is affected by our ability to maintain homeostasis. Homeostasis. So that is basically your body's way of maintaining internal balance through all the stimuli. So the other day I talked about us having 11 trillion over here bits of information per second that our brain is receiving. So it's receiving the temperature of the room. It's aware of what's around you, even though you may not be consciously aware of it. Like my brain is aware that there is stuff behind me, and so it doesn't want me to trip over it. So it's, you see how it's like guarding me. I'm not sure how close it is, but I know it's back there. My brain does, but I'm not consciously aware of it, right? It's consciously aware of when somebody walks in the room and you like feel that person walk in the room. I don't know if you're sensitive enough to feel that, but maybe you're sensitive enough to feel like, I just get a bad vibe from that person, or I just don't like the vibe I get, or I can feel somebody staring at me. That's how sensitive your nervous system is. And that's part of this 11 trillion bits of information that you're receiving constantly, not only from your external environment, but also all of your cells are sending information up to your brain. We talked about this last time, or the second video, I think, that there's information that travels from the brain. So here's our brain. I drew it backwards. There's our brain. There's information traveling from our brain, and then there's information traveling to our brain. And that's part of homeostasis, is this open channel. In chiropractic, we do like a safety pin. It's this loop that is constantly at play here within our body, maintaining internal balance, for lack of a better word. Internal balance. And why? Can't spell. I told y'all when I'm talking, I can't spell. And why would our body be wanting to maintain internal balance? And I've talked about this in our other videos, is our body is always trying to keep us alive, right? And some people will say homeostasis is remaining healthy and happy. No, that's not true. And it's oftentimes where we get caught up, and why we have such a really bad anxiety depression cycle right now is because we think that homeostasis equals happiness. And that is not true. Homeostasis is not for happiness. Homeostasis is for survival. Can we feed, find food, reproduce, so that we can keep this species alive? And that's taking the emotion out of it. That's taking our human emotions out of it, which our human emotions tend to get in the way of things, and we project judgment onto something. So when we're saying it's for happiness, that's our own projected judgment, right? The wolf in the woods isn't concerned about happiness. That is a new thing that we are having to adapt to, is happiness. Before, we were just concerned with survival. Okay, happiness is now coming into the picture, and we're having to adapt through that, and we're seeing this rise in anxiety and depression simply because of this word. Okay, and maybe that's a video for another time. Maybe I'll talk about it more, but it's not for happiness, it's for survival. Okay, so what are some characteristics of homeostasis? How does our body maintain homeostasis, maintain this balance? One, it maintains it through trying to keep our eyes level with the horizon. It likes to keep our eyes level with the horizon. I think I've talked about that. And so it will shift your body posture to allow your eyes to maintain level. Okay. And there are certain things that affect that. I'm going to go into this, like sitting on your wallet or your phone will maintain that, or will mess with that homeostasis of your eyes maintaining balance. Sitting in a car, if you're like leaning, you have to think about how your eyes want to maintain balance, and you're leaning over here on your armrest or something, and all this is happening, and you see that your body has to adapt, and then you'll have muscular imbalances, but it's to help with homeostasis. We got to keep your eyes level with horizon. That's one example, muscular example. Okay, but there is 6 steps through this homeostatic process. Okay, so the first step is a stimulus. So the first step is a stimulus. A reminder, there's 11 trillion bits of information per second coming in here. So we have all of this information coming into the system, right? All of this stimulus that's coming into our system. The person that makes you, you. The processes that make you, you. It's all coming in. So something touches you, and that's a stimulus. The temperature change, that's a stimulus. Somebody walking in the room that you don't like, that's a stimulus. There's a million different stimuli that we are bombarded with every single second of every single day. And again, that's why I say one of the biggest health things that you can do is to remove social media off of your phone, because it's contributing to this 11 trillion bits of information per second, and it is triggering certain process. That's for another time. Maybe you'll be interested in learning all the different ways that we are stimulated. Our brain is stimulated in different regions based on different information. And if you're interested in me doing a video on that, then please comment or send me an email. I would love to give you guys, I might just do it anyways, but is that something you're interested in, is knowing all of this information coming in, what is it stimulating? Okay. But for today, let's just recognize that we have a lot of different information coming into the system, and then we have to do something with that. What receives that information? Something has to receive that, right? So we have a receptor. Okay, so for example, let's just take an easy one, okay? Temperature change. So you walk outside and it's really hot. So the stimulus would be, the stimulus to the system would be an increase in heat, okay? Now, the receptor that's in your body, we kind of talked about it in another video. There's proprioceptors, which tell your body or tell your brain where your body is in time and space. Well, there's also something called thermoreceptors, okay? And there's thermoreceptors. There's all sorts of different types of receptors in your body that are specific to certain stimuli. So there's stretch receptors, like when you eat food, there's stretch receptors that stimulate your gut to start digesting food, juices to start flowing, so that your body can prepare you for eating food, okay? So there's different types of receptors in your body, okay? There's even immune receptors on your immune cells. So depending on the stimulus, it will act on a receptor, and that receptor will send information to the control center. Oh, no. Yeah, which it will send information to the control center through afferent fibers. So these are sensory nerves, or I'm going to put afferent. Okay, so they're telling the brain the information. So these are the ones that are traveling up. So we could do like this. I'm going to erase this 3 so that we can keep it kind of organized for you. So that you can see here. And then we come over here. This is the stuff that's traveling up to the control center, right? Okay, then you have your control center, which is in the middle. So we'll make this purple. Control center. Okay, so we have our control center here. Your brain, your spinal cord, all the nerves that exit. If you've been keeping up with me, you know the parts that make up your control center. Now there's different control centers, like your endocrine system, but for the most part, and especially for this one that we're talking about right now, it is the brain. So for the most part, it is the brain. Okay, so it goes to the control center. The brain processes it. It's like, hey, this means this. It means that we're going to get too hot, and we can't get too hot because proteins will denature. Things won't work properly within our body, which throws off homeostasis, which endangers our survival. So here's what we got to do. So it's an effector. It's a motor action. It's taking action. So this is the information that's coming back out. This is what the control center sends out. Okay, it's motor activity or action. It's making a specific action happen within your body, or also known as efferent. okay? Efferent. And this signal will get sent out to a specific tissue. So for you being too hot, it will activate sweat glands. We'll just say that. So it will make you sweat. And that will have a certain effect. So this is the effector tissue. That's number 6. And I write really big, so I'm going to put it over here. 6. Sweat glands. Okay. 2. So the sweat glands, when you sweat, the breeze hits your skin, your temperature decreases. It helps you cool off. So this is, the purpose of this is to decrease temperature. So it will shut off this stimulus. It'll say, okay, we fixed it. We fixed being too hot. So you see how your body is always trying to maintain homeostasis in that regard. So we have an action coming. They said they're going to work out. Okay, so the muscles and the organs, they need to do something specific. So we need to send that information up. Like, this is happening. The muscles are starting to get more active. The control center. All right, we've received that information. Let's send out a signal to make something happen, to maintain balance. And it will send it out to that specific structure within the body, and that will help to maintain this homeostasis. So you see how I was talking about a loop. Maintains this loop. I think that personally is pretty cool, that our body is always trying to maintain homeostasis. And that gives me the perspective to think about, okay, if this system is always trying to stay in balance, what is my symptom trying to tell me? Because if there is an imbalance, it will start to show up. So if you start to get too hot, if you're overheating, you start to fatigue, you start to get exhausted, your brain fog starts to kick in, you start to get lethargic, processes don't work correctly, right? And that's a symptom of this system not working correctly, right? And so when I am looking at symptoms with my practice members, or even within myself, I'm looking at, okay, if my body runs in this loop, how can I be more aware of, and see, I'm not trying to tell you to heal. I'm not giving you health information here. I'm not giving you advice that's going to change your symptom. Oftentimes, your symptom is there to let you know, hey, there's an interruption here. There's something you're not paying attention to, or there's something that you're unaware of that's breaking the chain of homeostasis. It's stealing more energy, or it's you're pushing through something that is not allowing us to utilize homeostasis. You're not giving us the nutrients. That's not allowing us to maintain homeostasis. And that can come, in chiropractic, we call it the 3 T's, right? I'll put it up here. 3 T's. Traumas. Oh, I can't spell. There's supposed to be a U there. Traumas, toxins, and thoughts. What are all those things? Those are basically stimuli. Stimuli that our body is not processing correctly. Our body is not, there's not enough information, there's not enough nutrition, there's not something that's allowing us to process some of these. And now I don't like to get caught up in any of these words, because we put labels and we tend to get stuck, and then it gets us stuck in, we tend to get stuck in these labels, and then it gets us stuck in a loop that might be a little bit negative for us. Like, where we think it's helping us, it might be hindering us in other ways, okay? So, sorry, it's cold in here. My nose is running. Okay, so you can take a picture of this or screenshot this, whatever you feel is necessary. I was going through this morning, and I was trying to think of different ways to talk to you guys about this today. Because one, this process in and of itself is really cool. Like, for me to think about, my body is trying to maintain homeostasis at all times. But when there's so much information coming in, how is it able to do that efficiently? Or is it able to do that efficiently? And sometimes some of the stimuli that are coming in are contradictory. That means there's a stimulus that's saying rest, and then there's a stimulus that's saying take action, and it almost freezes you. Do you feel like me just saying that statement, I felt it in my body, like rest and take action, and it's like I just freeze. I feel that feeling in my body. I don't know if you feel that as well, but thinking in your life when there's something like that's contradicting, it's like shine bright. Don't tell the world what you're doing until it's done. And it's like, those are conflicting things to say. And they're all coming from growth mentality. But sometimes we don't even recognize this happening with social media or anything in our life, but with social media is a big one because it's constantly bombarding our brain. So it's just a good example. You'll scroll and you'll see one post, and then you'll unconsciously scroll a little more, and that post will be contradicting to the one that you just saw, and they both inspired you. And you're not aware that they're both bombarding your system with, I should do this, or I have to do that, or I need to be doing this. And just those statements, do you feel the scramble that it's like, I need to be taking action, but it's like, I don't know what action to take because I just got bombarded with those, and you're not aware of this ripple effect that happens when you saw that. It's like, yeah, rest. The stimulus is telling you to rest. But yet you have another stimulus coming in here that says take action. And it's like, wait, what are we supposed to be doing here? I don't know if you feel like that, but I felt like that in the past. And so that's, again, I'm going to reiterate this. That's why being careful of the stimuli that enter your system, which I was looking this up in meditating on a Bible verse and a sutra from the Tantra of the Yoga Sutras. And they both go really well together, is guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. Proverbs, I think like 53:4. That came out of nowhere. I don't know if that's right, but look it up. Somebody look it up and tell me if I did it right. There's another one of capture your thoughts, because I think it's the weapons that we're using are not weapons of this world. They're of divine. They have the power to knock down divine strongholds. That's what is that? 2 Corinthians 10. Just 2 Corinthians 10 in and of itself is just, the whole chapter is really, really powerful, but it's talking about capturing your thoughts, all the thoughts that go against God. And so when you are constantly bombarded with stimuli, it's harder to guard your heart because there's things that can sneak in. It's harder to guard your thoughts because there's things that can sneak in, like shame, guilt, resentment, pride, and those will all impact this homeostasis. Okay? Now, one of the things that in yoga that they talk about, the Yoga Sutras, they talk about vrittis. Okay, that is basically the waves of your mind. There is the surface level thoughts that you're thinking. And oftentimes these are the ones that cause us the most anxiety, and we can't get under those thoughts. And so those thoughts are creating a ripple effect. They're creating a wave in your mind. So these vrittis, these things that create ripples in your thoughts. And think of this, all that information that we're getting, constantly information from our kids, from our spouse, from work, from the Bible, from the Yoga Sutras, from chiropractic school, from the nervous system, from health, from you as who you are. That's all being bombarded in your brain. And sometimes it's like I'll ask people, I'm like, do you feel like a sense of quiet right now? Like, what's happening in you? And they won't even be aware that they're worried about something in the background. Like, can you sit here and be present with this? And they're thinking about what they're watching on TV. And I'm like, but you're missing the fact that you have a little thorn in your brain that's stealing energy from you, and it's impacting your ability to utilize your resources. Because all of this whole process, it is sending resources. Every time you get this stimulus, it's like, yeah, we need to send out these resources. And it's like, wait, I just sent out resources for that. But okay, well, I don't know which resources you want me to rest, but those are two different processes, right? We talked about that in the first video, resting and taking action, those are two different processes in the body that require two different, they shut each other off. If one's high, the other one needs to be low. And if one's low, the other one needs to be high. So we're not using our resources effectively because we're not slowing down long enough to let our brain process all the ripples that are hitting our mind. And so being able to dive under the surface is the practices that I'm trying to give you with these videos. It's like, yeah, look at how cool your body is. Now let's support this. Because if you are not taking time to just simply process information, then your brain is still running on the homeostatic pattern that is running in the background. The pattern, the thought process that's impacting this balance. Maybe it's I'm not good enough. Maybe it's I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Maybe it's just I feel disconnected. Maybe it's I have a lot of different parts and I want to do a lot of different things. But if we're not taking time to just, oh, yeah, I want to be a mom, but I also want to run a business, right? If we're not taking time to just look at those thoughts without judgment, without putting the label of, oh, that's a trauma, that's a toxin, that's a thought. Oh, maybe I want to rest. Oh, but that you can't do that. That's a label. Maybe I want to rest, but maybe I also want to take action. Do you see how it's like, okay, that's a little bit different for your nervous system. It's like, I want to rest. Yes. What is rest to you? Do you see how looking at it without judgment allows you to process that information to where it's not this good, bad, right, wrong. It's this is what it is right now. And I don't want to stay here forever. So let me just be present with this pattern. And what happens is we don't have a lot of strategies. We're not given a lot of strategies to slow down, especially in the Western culture. People think meditation is a sin. And I'm like, sitting quietly is a sin? All right. I don't know what that is, but okay. People think connecting with your body through yoga, they think it's a sin. I'm like, okay, well, symptoms, when this is out of balance, symptoms show up. So wouldn't you need to be connected to your body to be able to recognize when this is out of balance? So it's not labeling ways of connecting with yourself as good, bad, right, wrong. It's I need to connect to myself and I need to do it for the health of me so that I can make a ripple effect in my family that's healthier than the one that maybe I had. And that the one that you had isn't right, wrong, good, bad. It just was. And now you're at this place of presence of right now to get to choose the next step that you want to take. Do you want to continue down this path of being overwhelmed, overstimulated, anxious, sick, or do you want to turn and take a different route? But you have to slow down and recognize what stimulus is pushing you into imbalance in this system, where maybe it's pushing you to wanting to overrest or pushing you into wanting to overtake action. Okay, I feel like I beat that dead horse. Now, let me know what you thought of this. Let me know what your takeaway is from just this process that your body does. And this is not just humans. This is all living things have homeostatic processes to help them maintain balance within the living system. Bacteria, fungi, trees, birds, bees, they all have homeostasis, okay? And so I want to just pause for us to look at, if you didn't do the Journey Through the Corpse, which was in the Faith, Physiology, and Presence video, the Journey Through Your Body. It's called Journey Through the Corpse because you're resting in a still posture and we're journeying through your body. Okay, if you haven't done that, that's a really good one to check out and to just become aware of where you're at. But for now, we are going to use our hands. Our hands have a lot of receptors to tell us what's going on in time and space. So you can begin by, give me a moment. Let's take a step back and let's pray. Thank you, God, for this moment, for the ability to get to learn about our bodies, for one, giving me the courage to follow that calling that has been placed on my heart, even though I feel scared. In 2 Corinthians 10:5, well, in 2 Corinthians 10, Paul is talking about he in person feels meek and his letters are strong and powerful. And sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel so meek, and yet sometimes I feel so powerful. The message that I'm preaching is just it just comes out of me in such a powerful way. And I thought that was a really powerful thing. So those things that are on my listener's heart, anybody under the sound of my voice that are on their heart, can you give them the voice and the power to just be present in their faith and to be able to take action, not from a place of judgment, not from a place of pride, not from a place of resentment, but from a place of pure presence. Like, if I do this, let it be done in your will. Let the ripple effect bring more people to this extreme power of faith, and protect from that enemy, that divine enemy that we know is there, that it's like, man, that thought was creeping in and it was hurting me. But allow us to, in this time of exercise, just to sit still so that we can discern the difference between that voice of, is this coming from my emotions? Is this coming from, am I vocalizing this point because I have pride, resentment, shame? Or am I vocalizing this point because this is a life-saving, life-changing ripple effect? This is a life-changing thing that has been given to me to present to the world. So as we step forward, allow us to just find that presence and to recognize all the different stimuli that are coming at us, and to recognize the ones that are not for your good, and to recognize the ones that are for your good, and help us align mentally with that, and not having a sense of pride or hero complex. I'm saying that for myself. I know that I've been there. Help us not to have a hero complex or to feel like we need to save the world because you've already done that. Help us to just continue to carry on your message in all the ways that we can. In your name we pray. Amen. So, like I said, let's just begin by warming up our hands. So you can just do that by simply just taking your thumb and your index finger and rubbing them together. Feel your skin under your fingernails. Like, feel the skin as it pulls under your fingernails. Maybe start to rub your hands together. Feel how they get warm. Feel all the sensations. Maybe press your fingers together. Taking a moment just to try to feel all of your hands. Like, notice how much the vastness that is just your hands. Like, I can feel little pressure on my fingers. So I can gently touch my hands together, and that has an experience. It's kind of harder to get to the center of your palms, right? So massaging your hands, the muscles. So there's that muscle layer. So you have that layer of skin, you have the layer of muscles, you have blood running through here. Maybe you notice like pressure in your hands, that could be blood. Maybe your hands are cold, that's lack of blood. It's just becoming aware of where you're at right now in time and space by using your hands. Maybe you're a finger popper. I am, and it drives people crazy. I'm going to try not to do it here. And maybe you're not a finger popper. But just recognizing, can I see the vastness of my hands? And then maybe you begin to use that connection with your hands to feel your wrist. So you can just start with your right wrist. Feel your right wrist. Feel what's going on in there. Notice, does it feel good? Does it feel like it moves? Does it feel swollen? Does it feel puffy? Does it hurt? Noticing. Okay, and then take your right hand and do the same with your left. Does it feel like it's moving? Compare it. Well, first, check in with it, and then compare it. Like, my right wrist hurt a little bit more than my left, or my right wrist felt a little bit more locked up than my left wrist felt. That might not be your story, but you just recognize, like, recognize the difference. And you can begin to travel up your arm. maybe as we're doing this, you're starting to notice, oh, my shoulders and my neck. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone. My shoulders and my neck are starting to get really tight. Maybe take your hands up to your collarbones, up to that place that's feeling really, really tight in your neck. And you just massage. You just give yourself a massage, right? Everybody's like, oh, I need a massage so bad. Well, give yourself one. And just recognizing, okay, there's a vastness to your neck. So feeling the muscles, massaging the muscles in your own neck, and you're probably like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even aware that was there. That's what I'm trying to say, is there's so much that we're not aware of. We don't have practices in our life. Simply just massaging ourselves or getting a massage from somebody else, some kind of self-care it's not sitting in the bubble bath, which it could be, but it doesn't have to be sitting in the bubble bath and disconnecting from the world. It can be, but it can also be just checking in, allowing your hands to feel your body in time and space. So you see how, as I've been speaking to you, my hands are just exploring. They're just feeling what's going on. Maybe you rub your ears. That was a big one for me the other day. Like, I rubbed my ears and I was like, holy moly, they're actually kind of sore. Like, how can your ears be sore? But you might be going through this process and you're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even aware that was there. I've done this before with like my ankles, like rolling my ankles around. You can give yourself a foot massage too. If you can't reach your feet, well, that's feedback that maybe all of these aren't getting good connection from the brain. All these hip muscles, thigh muscles, that they're not connected and that they're not able to move that way. So you can't reach your feet. That tells you something. And it's starting at this place of not judging. Maybe for a week, you just practice massaging your face a little bit longer with intention of like, I feel a little puffy here. It feels a little sore here. With allergy seasons, right? That's a big thing that's happening. But can you just intentionally place your hands on your own body and recognize like, oh, this is what's going on. And then maybe as you're doing it, you say the intention of, God, I don't even know why my ears would hurt, but can you send me the guides, the opportunities, the experiences that will allow me to connect better with this signal that my body is trying to send me, which usually allows me to find a signal that you're trying to send me. That's a prayer that I pray regularly when I step on my yoga mat. It's like, okay, this hamstring's working and this one's not. God, please guide me to the experiences that will allow me to connect to that better. And through connecting to my body, the temple, I also get to connect to the experiences around me more. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I'm just watching and aware that, man, right now, I could be considered to the rest of the world to be in a really crappy situation. Like, why would anybody listen to me? Which is one of the challenges that I faced with starting this series. Why would anybody listen to me? From the outside in, my life is chaos. But at the same time, it's like, no, my life is chaos, and I think my life is freaking awesome. So how can I bring people to recognizing that when the chaos is hitting and when all of that stimulus is taking over, how can I help guide people through that and not get lost in it or not allow those moments to get stolen by the enemy? Ooh, that was big. I don't know who that was for, but that was for someone specific. To allow your moments that you're experiencing to not get stolen by the enemy. And it shows up when it gets stolen by the enemy. It shows up as pride. It shows up as resentment. It shows up as shame. It shows up as guilt. That's when a moment got stolen, right? And so me doing these videos, I'm hoping to allow you to connect with yourself more so that your life experience doesn't get stolen by those enemies, by that enemy, because that can take over and it will impact every cell, organ, and tissue in your body. So as we step forward, I don't know if you guys are still using your hands and feeling on your body. I was feeling a space right here, and I was like, I'm talking, and I'm like, oh, there's something coming up right there. Either way, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Like, one of the things you can do is balance on one foot. Try this next time. This is for the next time, because you've been connecting with your body. You've been rubbing your feet, so you're probably a little better at it right now. But next time you go to do this, do something that's a little challenging, like stand on one foot and recognize, oh man, that was a little hard for me to do. And then go in and literally don't stretch, don't work out, just touch your body, touch the bottom of your feet, and then see how that changes. It's like, oh, I can see that. I've connected with that. And I think that's so cool that you can activate all these little receptors. These would be proprioceptors. So the stimulus is, oh, I can't stand on this. Like, all these muscles are sending up a signal through these receptors. So I'm going to work on these receptors, show my brain, hey, this is what's going on here. And then I'm going to try again. And so this is to help us better balance with that stimulus. I just think that's really, really cool. So I hope this video was valuable to you. Please like, comment, subscribe to this. You can also subscribe to get the emails. If that's something you're interested in, you just email me and we can get you set up for that. But the emails, they are talking a little bit more about, they just go into a little bit more depth. They give you a little bit of a little nugget, because afterwards, as I'm rewatching the video, I'm like, oh, I need to tell them that. I need to give them that little extra detail. So if you're interested in signing up for those emails, that's an option for you. You can just reach out for me and I will get them for you. But yes, I appreciate your likes, your comments, your shares, your subscriptions. So thank you so much, and I hope it was valuable.